Um, did you see
I
that?
know, I know what you're going to say. I have to try to change it before we exit out. I know the last show guest I had up here.
Yeah, that
I
was a good
still have
interview,
his
by the way.
picture up there.
Yeah, that was really good. That,
Don't worry, we'll have to do an edit on it. Hey
okay.
everyone. Hey, this is Jessie Bowen, Coach Jessie Bowen. I'm here today with Coach Nathan Ray. This is our
Greetings.
empowerment show, the power to live your vision. And so if you're just coming across us, don't leave. We got a great program today. And today's program is going to be on mental rehearsal, training the mind before reality happens. So again, now our
Good
program is
topic.
really about giving back, teaching, and sharing everything that we know and that we've learned. We're both coaches. We're both 10th degree black belts. We both are, blessed to be very accomplished. And so we decided a few weeks ago, we wanted to give back. It's just knowledge. Talk out loud. We hope that it benefits someone and that missing piece that you may have, that we hope we can be able to share that. And you'll find that in our program. So give us a chance. If you're in a hurry, we're on Roku TV. You can go to the Elite Publications Worldwide TV, download the app. We're also on Spotify, and you can follow us on Spotify. You can also download the Spotify app, and there you can add it to your cell phone. If you're, have a smart TV, you can add that app to your TV also and sort of follow us. So this is a really big topic today that I'm excited about. And so while we're doing our program, you're part of an experience because we're actually writing the book. So this is chapter number 7 of the book that's going to be coming up. And so you're part of that experiment of us, writing the book, sharing information, multitasking here. Hey, Coach Nathan Ray, how are you doing
Hey,
today,
hey,
sir?
happy, radiant, and free, shining bright like diamonds, getting after it, and happy to be a part of this experience. It's even more than a show; it's an experience. So, and happy to be able to share it with all the viewers out there. So, hey, I'm buckled in and ready to rock and roll.
Well, mental rehearsal, we hear about it for athletes, that they have to go through this process of, preparing for the game or preparing for the competition. And so they got to mentally go over it in their minds. The coach says, sit down, review this, go over it in your mind, go over that play in your mind. And but that's not just for athletes, that's for everyone. So
Yeah,
you can
right.
now practice on your mental rehearsal and go over it every day about the success you want to have, what you're going to do, go through those ideas you have in your mind. So we're going to talk about that today. So, but how have you been doing?
Well, I mean, I've been doing wonderful, and I've been uncomfortable on many days here lately because because I'm stretching. I'm hanging out with some of the top people in the industry, yourself included, and it always stretches me. So if you're comfortable where you are, then you might need to be in a different room with a different group of peers. So I'm deep into association with some top-notch people. So it just shows me that there's way more available than some of it than I could even imagine. So this goes right line in line with what you're saying about the visualization and being able to do some mental rehearsal of your not just one aspect of life, but just life in general. So yeah, I mean, and we're living this right along with the audience. We're not saying that we're done and we've done this and that's it. No, because nature is always expanding and you're always growing into a fuller expression. So that's nature. That's how nature does it. So being in alignment with nature, things are going very well, and just loving our process here on the show. This is week 7, like you said, and and it's already had impact. I've gotten some feedback from some folks, so we hope you will share this with your friends and your family, your communities, and so we can just, like you said a moment ago, we're just expressing and sharing the knowledge that we've been blessed to receive. So, yeah, doing great.
So when we think about mental rehearsal, you have to understand that is a deep part of our mind, and your brain, it just it knows the difference, or it doesn't know the difference between reality and non-reality. An example of that is
Hmm.
whatever you're thinking about, and you now add emotions to it, then that becomes a part of your perceived reality. So the information that you're taking in, how do you perceive that information? So I'll give you an example that I do a lot in my seminars. And so that example is, I want you can go along with me, and Coach Nathan, you can play along with me too. So I want you to
Always, yeah.
imagine that you have a lemon. You know what a lemon is, right? You've had a lemon, am I correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, so I want you to
Yeah.
extend your arm out and then pretend you have a lemon in your hand. Right. Now look at the lemon, look at it, the color of it. Now, what I want you to do, I want you to hold that lemon up over your head, look at it. Now I want you to open your mouth, and I want you to squeeze all that lemon juice into your mouth. Come on, don't cheat. Squeeze it all. Get a little bit more, a little bit. Come on, you can do it. Okay, stop.
Mm.
What you think? Now you love lemons. Every time we go out, you get tea and lemons. So, okay,
I do. I get
but
lemons and everything, but
yeah,
still, it's with just that visualization of just taking that raw juice and putting it in your mouth, it makes your whole face kind of crinkle up, And especially
but
if you do this to an innocent baby, it's hilarious.
well, but this is the thing. This is the thing that we're talking about. Now, of course, you do know you did not have a lemon in your hand, right?
Right, right,
But you went through
right,
all the actions of picking that lemon up, holding it over your head, looking at the color of it, and
right.
then begin to do the actions of squeezing it into your mouth. And then you had this chemical reaction that was natural in your body. That chemical
Absolutely.
reaction now gives you the taste of the lemon. Your body, if you love lemons, you go, that's great. If you don't like the sour taste of a lemon, you're making faces and you're asking me, when can I stop doing this? This is painful. But you see, but you don't have a lemon. You
Right,
have a
right,
memory. You have a
right.
memory of that lemon that you've had before. And so that's what mental rehearsal is. You've had this before, and when you go through the actions, you duplicate that. So what we want really to dig in today is, how do I now practice mental rehearsal? Now, this is one of the things that I've been blessed to have that opportunity to work with and also learn from. I'm a mindfulness coach. I spent 20 years at Duke University teaching mindfulness. I'm a mental
Right.
performance coach was for Duke University's football team, basketball team, the University of North Carolina Chapel Hill football team, and North Carolina Central University's women's bowling team. So before you get to the lanes, or before you get ready to start your work during that day, this is where you got to write down, but take that time. And we've talked about vision, but have that clear vision of what it is that it is you want to have. What will it feel like when you accomplish that?
Yeah, and that's powerful.
I
Yeah.
got a new car back here a few months ago. And so as I'm visualizing this car, it's in DC, I'm in North Carolina, but I'm mentally driving it. How does it make me feel to drive this car? I
Yeah.
really do like this car. How does it make me feel? And then I'm driving it. Then I get out and I look at it from the outside, and I'm going, how does this make? Because I have this picture of it, and so how does it make me feel? So this is an everyday thing that we go through. Is how does it make me feel? And I know as a
Yeah.
champion in the martial arts that you have you've accomplished a lot. So how have you
Yeah.
used the mental rehearsal in what you're doing?
Well, I mean, it's everything that you're sharing, and the blessing of having a venue or a methodology that allows you to practice that. I mean, from a young boy, we practice in martial arts. You got an invisible opponent in front of you. You're taught what the move is, and your teacher will show you the application and says, "Hey, imagine you're doing this." So, growing up in the martial arts, we're actually doing high level mental work from the very beginning and then on to other levels of forms or kata practice. But then I think that you hit on something that's gold with your example of your car and everything is there's no limit to where you can apply this. In fact, we should actually, if we want to be the most efficient, get the most out of everything, is to make this our regular ways of being, to align our life with the way that the true operation of things works, as opposed to always being externally inspired. We react to constantly, and it goes back to what you said about emotions and feelings. It's like when young people say you get caught in your feelings, right? And so you if we don't know how to harness that and focus it, it can work against us just like it can work for us. And I think for a lot of people, they accidentally have it working against them. So that's why I'm glad we have this podcast so everyone can tune in and really raise your level of awareness to understand that this is something that you can start. And look, guess what? It's free. You don't have to pay for your imagination. There's no there's no subscription for your imagination. So there's no excuses. We can start today, but the limit becomes what our awareness and our level of belief. Yeah. So I think the more we do it, the more our belief will grow. So just taking today's show and just saying, hey, you know what? I'm going to start seeing things a little differently. And I love even the rewrite technique where you can take your day and at the end of the day, close your eyes and have a quiet moment where you rewrite it the way that you would have wanted to feel. You might not have felt that way, but you rewrite it before you go to sleep. Now we're talking about getting into the subconscious mind where the power is. So, yeah, yeah.
And so, so what we think about is that the mind practices before the body performs. So think
Yeah.
about that for a second. The mind practices before the body performs. So when you are thinking, when you're working on a project, that's where I keep a notepad beside me all the time, so that when I'm working on something, I'm writing down because I want to hold that mental picture, and then I can close my eyes and see how that fits together. So if
Yes,
you're
sir.
working on something, you want to be able to, get that clear vision of it, close your eyes, and then sort of see it working, or what is missing. So that's what we want to do. And this is the reason why meditation is so important, especially before, you leave home, after lunch or before you go to bed, because now you can get your mind set. Athletes and martial artists, speakers and surgeons, everybody uses it. Whether you realize it or not, you do. You use it. The subconscious mind learns through the repetitive repetition of images. Now, this is important. The repetition of images, emotion. So you've got the image, but just like with that lemon a few moments ago, the emotion, how does it make you feel? Does it
That's
make
the
you
key.
feel good, or does it make you feel bad?
That is a big key right there. And as growing in this material and actually living it and applying it. Part of my routine was in the morning. I have a goal that I'm working at now in business. I have some other business that I work on, and there's a level in it called diamond. And at the diamond level, it's big time. But so every morning in my shower, I was practicing, and mentally I put music on. I said, this is going to be the music at my ceremony. And I'm visualizing the event, I'm visualizing. And I heard teachers for years and years say, hey, you've got to emotionalize it. Well, you got to emotionalize your kata. You got to emotionalize it. And I said, man, how do you really get into it? And they said, rehearse it, keep doing it, keep doing. So I trust that process, and I trusted it more recently this past year. And so in that shower, it got to a point where I even came to tears, because they were happy tears of success and feeling that moment. So I have no doubts that it's already done. And I just get to keep repeating that and repeating that. Why? Because it's getting in the subconscious mind, like you just said. And so that's it. It's something I'm just encouraging all of you. You perhaps might not be used to the things we're speaking about, but just start and be consistent and do them daily. Very simple practice that was just shared, which is, close your eyes and see yourself being successful with it, and not just see it. And this is where I think a lot of people get off. They see it, but they don't feel it. And you got
Mhm.
to have both. You got to see it to the point where you actually have emotion and you feel it. I think that I don't think I know that that's where the real gusto's at.
And what you and another key point of this is that your thoughts. So your
Yeah.
thoughts, your imagination, and your emotions, your behavior, and your results. So that is key. So think about it now. Your thoughts. What are you thinking? What do you think about it? Do you believe in it? Yeah, you may be nervous, you may be uncertain, but you have to put on that champion mentality. If you're going to be the best in business, then you have to have the best in mindset. The I am. You're going to be the best athlete. You're going to be the best husband. You're going to be the best father. You have to have that mentality. I tell everyone,
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
martial arts, I'm a black belt, so I'm a black belt father. I'm a black belt driver. Because I understand what a black belt is and what that level of performance should be. So the
Yeah.
key point that I want you to remember here is that your thoughts, your image, your emotions, your behavior, this turns into your results. So I know, Nathan, you're getting ready to head out of town and hang out with my friends, Jeff Smith and Stephen Oliver.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
these guys have created, that's one of the prime things that they do in growing a strong business, is to be able to visualize your success, before you
Yeah.
make that telephone call, in the conference or in that conversation. You already have to know that success of what
Yeah.
you need to be able to accomplish, because this is what leads into leadership, and it also leads into confidence. So the more you do it and the more you see yourself succeeding, the more you are growing in the confidence because of that experience.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and you have what you have. It's not to say that what you have isn't valuable. However, one of the big part of our student principles, one of them is humility. You
Mhm.
have the humility to know that you don't know everything, and that others, and to allow others to stretch you beyond your comfort zone, beyond, because a big part of it is, I mean, breaking through. I mean, really, what you're talking about is really breaking through to another level, which means we have to let go of something if we want to take hold of something else. So getting rid of those old paradigms, because those old paradigms, that's just a group of old habits that's running in the background. So what I hear you saying is that we really get to reprogram ourselves in a sense. I mean, some people are scared of that language, but really we're all running programs that are running in the background. So I love what you're saying about these tools, because in essence, these are the steps and tools and things that allow us to create new paradigms and to shut off those old paradigms, which lead to those decisions. It's just the same way. Someone wins the lottery today, if they haven't changed their mindset, they're going to be right back in the same position in a year or two's time. But if someone can shift their mindset, they can go from the poverty mindset and become they can become very wealthy, which wealth isn't just money, it's health, happiness, all those things that we can reach for. So yeah, I love the process and the thought power that you're speaking of with this process. That's great.
And this is not just luck. There's a whole science behind
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Scientists say that, we have over 70,000 thoughts per day. Just imagine, what are you thinking? Are you thinking the same thing, that you're going to fail over and over? Or are you thinking that you're going to succeed? Your
Yeah.
brain activates the same neurological path doing visualization.
Right.
And then what happens is that your mind is taking all this information, and your body begins to release real emotional chemistry. And then the
Hmm.
confidence is familiar to your memory. So the more things that you achieve, then the more that you go through this. So you have this emotional chemistry reaction that's just like we did with the lemon. So all that's happened, and this
Right.
natural path, it's the natural path of visualizing. We all visualize. We all have thoughts or a thought that we tend to focus on. And the question is that thinking, is it benefiting us, and how will it make a difference?
Yeah, let me ask you this. I think I'll be the advocate for the people who we're not hearing right now. However, what do you do? Because this is a lot of material. It's a big change for a lot of people, you know. And in a sense, I think one thing that stops or paralyzes people is they feel overwhelmed by the possibilities, because really been playing small, and now we're saying, hey, let's play big. So what would you share with someone in terms of the overwhelm of doing this material and learning this material as a first or second step to get going today?
Well, the very first thing is to do is to recognize where you are in life, or where you are in business, where you are in your relationship. What is that thing that you want to become better? So that's where we have to really start. And then you want to be able to, as I said before, write it down so you can go back and do that. And so when we think about visualizing something, is seeing something, what is real or not real. What are we created in our fantasy, or or whatever?
Well,
Because
yeah, the brain
yeah,
doesn't distinguish, right?
right,
The brain
right.
doesn't know if it's false, or it's just processing what you're giving it.
Right. It's that big storage tank. Now, when we think about our subconscious and the things that's happening there, then this is where in our mind, we have all these here, everything that's stored, everything from the day you were born is stored there, but to be able to access that information. And so you have to make changes. May have to make changes in your environment, in your relationships, to be able to get to where you want to go, and to be able to change and have new images. So what you want to do is to be able to break that down, and meditating, and we're going to cover meditating just a little bit before we close our program. And so when you think about meditating, you want to think about take on a deliberate level of taking an information and now being subjective in your own mind by adding this information. So you
Mm.
start off by breathing. So when you now begin to breathe slow, and now you start to enter a deeper level of mind. In the Silva method training, we call it entering alpha, because our mind has these different frequencies. So you got beta, alpha, theta. So you have these brain frequency. And so right now we're in that beta level. Everything that we know that's going on, and we want to really be in the alpha level. So, but when we begin to slow our breathing down, we now begin to drop our brain frequency. If you have problems going to sleep at night, it's because so much information is there that you stay up in this high beta level. So your brain frequency is very high. So it's difficult to go to sleep. So you want to release that. And now the more you relax and the more that you breathe, you now enter a receptive state. This is where you can program your mind. You can make changes. And then this is that place that you can now begin to rehearse what it is you want to rehearse. This is also the place you can get rid of the fears that you may have, that fear of failure. And when you're at this place, you can now visualize, and your vision becomes like this giant movie that's playing up on the screen. And you
Yeah.
want to see it clearly, and you want to be able to see yourself accomplishing the things that you want to accomplish. See the
Well,
healing in
yeah.
your body you want to see the relationship, whatever you're looking for. So when you now begin to meditate, you're now taking control. You're being subjective. So those 70,000 thoughts, you're being intentional with these thoughts. So this is what helps you to be able to make the change.
Thank you for that. That's powerful. And I love a couple of things you shared. One of them is the idea of a projector, because I teach a course called Thinking into Mastery. And in that community, we discuss that, and one idea was don't be an extra in your own movie. Be the star of your movie, right? You're project who's going why be the extra in your own movie, right? The other thing is we're not the screen, we're actually the light that's projecting the movie, which is our life. So we get to create that. And I love that what you just shared. And the other part to it, you just gave us a simple formula. If I understood you correctly, start off by breathing, slowing down, getting your brain to a certain level by relaxation, and actually going quiet. And I think that's another great point, because the reactionary thing to do is to start doing more. Okay, if I'm busy, that equals me getting where I need to get to. But in reality, what you just shared with us was gold, because we actually need to do the opposite in a lot of ways. And then I guess the last part that I got from what you just shared was we can control our environment. We can make changes in our environment. I give you a classic example. In my office, I have these two boards, and I had all my the things I was paying, the debts and all this kind of thing. And the other day I'm sitting and I'm working. I look over at the board and I realize, I said, every day I come in here and I'm looking at things I owe and debt and all this kind of thing. I said, I'm really programming myself for more debt, because my subconscious just keeps eating that up. So I had my assistant erase. I said, hey, erase all of that for me. So when I get to my office, I don't see that.
Right.
And then I replaced it with, now we're talking about switching our environment with what you just shared. Hey, this is what I want to produce. This is what I want to see in my life. These are the things that I want to come up, so that I subconsciously am eating that up as I work and relax and get into state. So I think everything you shared is gold. Thank you for that. That was great.
Well, the power is within you. As long as we have breath, then we have power. And what
Hmm.
we have to do, we have to realize that we're here on purpose. If you don't think about your purpose and you just go in and out, you'll find that, you're 60, 70 years old and you're looking back on a desert. There's nothing behind you. And so what you want to be able to do is to start now, no matter wherever you are in life, it doesn't matter. You can start now and
I
become
love that.
empowered and
That's
make a
great.
difference, because
That's
it's
true.
the programming, and I find that, you think of people that have this unforgiving spirit, And they said, well, my mama and my daddy, they were just like that. They would not forgive you. You see, what you don't realize is that's not true. You see, as a baby is born, they don't have that. That is learned behavior. When you're
Right.
in an environment and that's the way they think and that's the way they feel, that's the way they become. And the more that you are in that and you believe that because your mom, your dad, they're your hero, and you act like that, but that's not really the way you were born. Okay.
Right.
That's things you picked up. So you want to really get yourself in those environments. Begin to study meditation. You can go online, find a meditation program. I recommend the Silva Life System. It's a great program for you to begin in. It's got so much information, daily, useful information about how you can function at a higher level. So, this week, everyone, our whole focus has been on mental rehearsal. So remember, we got the book that's going to be coming out. Our date is August, but you can go to my website, which is www.coach Jessie Bowen, and you can actually go there. There's some meditation CDs or downloads that you can just download and begin to study the power of meditation. I've got one there that's
Powerful.
great. It's called the Millionaire Mindset.
I love it.
So when you think about that is a wealth is an attitude. Being broke is an attitude also.
Yeah.
Failing is an attitude. So,
Yeah.
seek coaching. If you want to become better, go hang out with better people. Not saying that people you're hanging out with is not good, but I'm saying you have to keep upgrading yourself.
Association.
You want
That's
to continue to upgrade yourself and be able to move forward. So as you move in this week, then remember to take that time. Our podcast is sponsored by Elite Publications. Write a book. Everybody has a story. You just have to get it out. Any last words from you, Coach?
No, I mean, this is great as always. I'm listening and I'm looking forward to listening to this again. I guess I'll leave on that. That was one of the things that I've learned over the years is one of the things that is required is for us to hear things over and over. That's how we acquired all these quote unquote bad habits or habits that are not bad, but habits that aren't getting you the results you want. And in order to change that, we just need to do the process on the other side. So I would just say go back and listen to this. Don't feel like or any of our shows. Don't feel like I listened to it. Okay, I'm done. Let's go to the next one. And like you encouraged everyone with your book, The Journeyman, journaling, to make sure to have a notebook and to journal things out, to write things out by your hand and do it repetitiously over a period of time. So I would just say constant spaced repetition is a big key. You can utilize our materials and the great materials you offered everyone, but big key, don't think that doing it once is enough. Keep doing it.
All
Yes,
right,
sir.
and that's very true. And that's what we want to leave you with this week. Check out our podcast so you can actually, we just set up an email, and that email address is the power to live your vision at gmail.com, the power to live your vision at gmail.com. And I'll add that to our post. If you need support, need help, then email us, let us know, message us on Facebook of, if it's, trying to work in your business, trying to understand the wealth mindset, or in just personal empowerment. Let us know, set up a free coaching session, and we'd be more than happy to discuss and talk with you, because every time we talk about it, we just get better. That's why we set up this podcast. We spent last year pretty much at least once a week talking about it. So this year, we're setting up once a week and sharing it. We're no longer just talking about it. We're actually sharing it. So remember, don't forget our sponsor, elitepublications.org. Everyone's got a story. Remember to go and check it out. Publish your book in 2026. Be blessed.